Hello, my name is Ewan, and today I'll be showing you the 1.4 update for Minecraft Title Generator. This update includes some big new features. The first big feature is Tileables. If we go to make a new title, and we go to the Texture tab, we can see here the Tileables section. So the pre-made textures that used to be known is now called Textures, and that's here. This is all the old textures which are pre-made for the font. If we now go to Tileables, we will see a new list of textures. This list of textures is a list of tiles which can tile well across the characters. So unlike these textures, which are not these textures, which are made to fit the characters properly, these ones are just tiled over them. So for an example, let's select Amethyst, and you can see it displayed here. If we go to the Style tab, this new configuration section has appeared. On normal textures, this section is not here. This section is only here for Tileables. This here allows you to change how the texture tiles across the characters. So I can change the scale, which as you can see there, is changing how big it appears. The default for that is 2. You can also change the X offset, which as you can see there, it's a bit small, but it's moving it left and right, and the Y offset moves it up and down. So as you can see, when I change the X offset, that moves the texture left and right, and this moves up and down. So you can just pick the one you like that way. And then random rotations and mirroring. This will randomly rotate some of the tiles, and random mirroring will randomly mirror some of the tiles. So it just adds more variation to it. But I'm going to leave them off for this one. We'll come back to this one later. So just with that, we add our text. Let's just do text. And we click finish, and then we can see our text here. And then you can see up here, this is the texture it created for us. This extra setting here, texture resolution, by default it's at 1000. What this is how big this output texture will be. If you see up here, 1000 by 320, 1000 by 320, that's how big our texture is currently. If I was to, let's make text 2 and put it on row 1. If I set the resolution up, it's now at 2000. So we have twice the amount of detail, and of course you can set the scale to 1. And you get even more detail. But then we can put this all the way up to 4000 and we get even more detail. So this makes much higher resolution textures. You can see here it says 4000 now instead of 1000. So this is a way to make much higher resolution tileable textures. And this is better if you have like a texture. For this texture it's not as good, but if you had a texture that had like much larger, smoother details on it, that would be better for that. So that's normal tileables. You also have Tileable Variants, so when you select one of these ones with the symbol for variants on it, let's select stone at the bottom, you'll just have a load of variants here. You just select those as normal. Let's set this back to normal so you can actually see it. There you go. Yes, you have these ones here, you can just select these ones. There's more variants. So these are all the built-in ones. You can also go to the File tab, where you can then select a custom file. So now if we select a file, this is my logos folder. So if I select the Minecraft Title Generator logo, for example, it's automatically set to tileable mode because it's detected this is not the right shape for one of these textures up here. If we set it to this, it changes, but we want it on tileable mode. And this one isn't going to work because it's really high resolution, but let's just see. If I do that, you can see it's trying to tile it across it, but this one's too big. So let's select a smaller image. Let's select a new file. This time I'm going to choose a Minecraft texture because that'll work a lot better for this. So let's do a azalea leaves. So when I select that, you can now see it. Let's set the scale back down. There we go. So you can pick any texture you want to use, and then once you've done that, you can just finish it. That's on top of another one. You can finish it, and there you go. So you can pick other textures. You don't have to use the built-in ones. Just like textures and fonts, the tileables can also be submitted. So if you have a tileable which you think works really well, you can come to the GitHub repository here, scroll down, read submissions on how to submit stuff in general, but then you want to go to the tileable section, and this tells you how to submit a tileable so that it will appear in the list here for other people to use. So that was the new Tileables feature. The next new feature is a new render output window. So lots of people were struggling with the old one for the fact that they don't know how to use image editors to get the output shape they want. So if I rendered it and they'd get this output here, Let's say you wanted it square. Before you had to open this in an image editor, know how to do that, and actually edit the image to be square. That's not required anymore. You can come up here to the top and select square, and there you go, there's your square image. If you don't like the fact that the text is touching the edges, you have this padding option here. You can just drag this up, and it adds some extra padding to the sides. This also works in normal mode as well. You've got the padding. So as well as padding, we now have a background color. If you select the background color, it adds a solid background to it. We can change this as we like, find a nice color. Let's go with that. And then we also have a second background color. This is if you want a gradient. So if I select this one, you see it adds a new color at the bottom. We can then select another color, and we can have two colors. So once we've selected this also works in square mode, by the way. Once we've selected this, we can either copy it or we can save it to a folder. Another mode is custom mode. This is a slightly more advanced version of these two modes. In this version, you can pick the resolution that you want. So you can't really see it changing here, but if you look down here in the corner, this is the size it's going to be saved as. So if I change these, you can see that it's getting bigger and smaller. It doesn't match exactly, that's because I've got padding. If I remove the padding, you now see that it lines up perfectly. So at the moment, I have link enabled. So when I change this one will automatically change to match. As you can see there, if I turn it off, when I change this one, now you can see it changing a lot more, but now they don't change. Let me link them up together. Over here we have the aspect ratio. So if you don't know what this is defining how long the top is versus how tall the side is. So if I go to 16:9, and we need to update the resolution. This is the size of a normal screen now. So 1920x1080 is 16:9. So this here is a nice, easy, quick way to change the aspect ratio. So like another common one is 4:3. There you go, let's add some padding to make it look nicer. And then we can save it when we want to. The final mode here is the Minecraft mode. This is for outputting your texture if you want to use it in Minecraft. So we have the 1.20 plus title texture. This is a main menu title texture if you want to use it on the main menu of Minecraft on version 1.20 or above. We have the 1.19 and below title texture. This is the same thing, just for the versions of 1.19 and older. And finally we have the Mojang Studios texture. This is the Mojang Studios texture, the one that appears on the loading screen. You cannot change this in vanilla, so if you want to change this texture, you need to use something like Optifine or some other mod that allows you to change it. Older versions of the game, you would just use the square export for that, but on newer ones it's weird, so this is the special output for that. Thank you for watching. That was the 1.4 update for Minecraft Title Generator.